good noon, and good night, citizens of Upland, freaks of the Metaverse. You are watching the Upland Action News. Today is Wednesday, February the 17th. The year is 2021. My name is LEFThouse, and I am joined by my co-host and co-most, my co-brother, LEFThouse Crypto. Brother Emmett, how the heck are you today?
I'm feeling great. We're also here with a first-time face-to-face meeting with one of my good friends on the Twittergram. Norman Comics is in the house.
Yes.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us here in the Action Studio. So for you that don't know, if you don't know who Mr. Aaron, wait, how do I say this? Gombar? Gombar. I'm a terrible with names and letters and stuff, but so, all right, Gombar. If you don't know who this fella is, he's a super NFT artist. He's the creator of Norman Comics, which is something you created when you were a child, right? This has been with you from the get. That's super cool. We have a link to his website in the description below if you want to check out some of his stuff. And you've got stuff all over the place on the what platforms are you on, where we can find your art?
The most important to me, Blockchain Art Exchange, because they started it all for me. BAE, MyBay, OpenSea, Rarible, and soon Async.
Yes, that's the one I'm freaking out about. I really want to get on that one.
Me too. You can get on Async. I know it.
I hope so. I applied, like I got really giddy when I saw it, and I applied like a madman. Like I felt like very Woody Allen asking, I want to take it away. I wish I could take my application away and start fresh, because I think I just sounded like a complete maniac in my thing. I'm like, I don't know if I would want to work with me when I think back on what I was saying and stuff. Like I just got too excited. So I might apply again. I might just keep applying.
I think it'll work out, especially if it's related to your video work. I think you have no problems. And Async, it took months before I heard anything. I've only been in the NFT space since August of last year. And I think right when when they first had that piece with Token Angels for the programmable Bitcoin piece that sold. That's how I heard about Async at first, is that guy sold that programmable Bitcoin piece. I don't even know his name, but it sold. It was record breaking at the time. It was like some crazy price at the time.
Whether it was tied into the market, right?
Yeah, it was tied into the market, and it still is today. You can find the piece and how it changes daily or changes secondly, most likely with the price of Bitcoin. That it changes. And I thought that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And when I saw that they were tied in, I looked up Token Angels. I remember I wrote Token Angels. I was like, I'm going to work with you guys someday, and you're going to work with me, and da-da-da-da-da. Still haven't heard from them. But Async ended up, when they sold that guy's piece with him, and that's how I found out about them. They were like a monster in the space. This was before Nifty Gateway and the Winklevoss twins, who I cannot get over ripping on those guys. As much as I love Bitcoin, and I've seen that the movie that talks about it, Social Network. I can't get over making fun of those guys.
Yeah,
they're too much of a target.
Yeah, too
100%.
easy.
Yeah.
So you just got, so you're like, I mean, a lot of ways, a lot of us are new to the NFT space, but you've been kind of cracking off and making art, and you've been like professionally making art since you were just like a wee boy, right?
Well, I've been getting paid for it since I was 12.
Yeah.
Getting published since I was 12. When I was, I remember Norman came to life on the back of a 4th grade math test, and I ended up getting published in the school paper. And before the school paper was the local paper, and my school saw that and was like, yeah, you can be on the newspaper in the do comics for the school paper. So then I got published in the school newspaper, and then Parade Magazine, I wrote to them and started working with Parade Magazine at 14. And from 14 to 18, Norman ran in Parade Magazine every Sunday. So if you ever opened a newspaper throughout the United States in the early 2000s, you possibly saw my comics when I was a kid, and they were so terrible, but I was in there.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, when Emmett is the one that brought me to you, and he was like, man, I'm on this crazy adventure, like through a rabbit hole of like, there's like codes and things that are hidden and like wallets with NFTs in it. Just it sounded like a super fun scavenger hunt game that he was on. So that's what brought me to your attention. And then, yeah, didn't like kind of seeing some of your stuff and like kind of getting into knowing a little bit more about you. I just like immediately started falling in love with you and your work and stuff. So it's like it's epic to have you here with us, and it's also pretty cool because like you don't know anything about Upland really. That's not you've not
the only thing I know about it is that it's some sort of game with property with NFTs, and that it's got to be decent enough where adult men are spending their days, investing their time into this. And not only it's not like just some random nerds. Like you guys have cool backgrounds. And so when I found out about this and was like, whoa, these dudes are guys that I would hang out with in real life, then I was like, okay, so I want to know more about this.
Okay, great. So like the funny thing is that I've been into this Upland space since April of last year. And when I first got into it, I was just on a search for blockchain games. I didn't really know anything about NFTs yet. And I find this thing and it's like, yeah, like, these are real world addresses and real world properties tied to these real world addresses. And they're all NFTs, and you can buy them and you can sell them and trade them. And I was like, all right, cool. And you can collect, put collections that get higher, like APRs or payouts per the year and stuff. There's these little things in there. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But I keep thinking about like, I want to have a movie theater in this place, like in this weird virtual land. Like, so I went and I found like this indie theater that was called the Clay Theater. And in real life, like it shut down like a couple years ago. But like, back in like the 20s or something, like when the first time it was a movie theater, it was like an art house back in the day. And then like, Weird Al Yankovic played music there and stuff like that. Like, so it's been like this
Nice.
really crazy sort of, so I didn't know all of that when I grabbed the place, but then I like kind of did all my research and I was like, oh, this is like the place for a movie theater for me, still not knowing anything about NFTs. I was like, I understand it's like the skeleton board of this. It's just a map with these little squares that you can purchase. And I'm like, but I know eventually there's going to be buildings on there and I'm going to be able to put like a screen inside one of these buildings. And then just right about this time, I joined like the UCN, which is the Upland Contributors Network. Like I applied to do it because I was like, man, I got to get in with these dudes so I can get my movie theater set up and like, be a hero. Like I just wanted to like be the first person to have a movie theater in this weird metaverse, see what happens. So I like figured it out and set it up in a way. So like if you're Avatar, if you send yourself to my theater, then I can find you because there's a registry and I can send you a link to one of the films. Still, I don't know anything about NFTs, but now I'm starting to like kind of figure that out. And I'm like, wait a minute, like all these properties are NFTs and they keep talking about these buildings that we're going to be able to build on them. And then we're going to be able to hang NFTs on the buildings walls and shit. Like I'll be able to put like posters for the movies on the outside walls of the building. And then you'll walk in and watch whatever movie we have playing that week. And I'm like, that's what I want. I want to do that. Like I want that sort of experience. So I just set it up in a way so I can find people. And it's cool because like I'm finding like a new audience, like new people are coming and watching the movies. I'm having cool discussions. And then I started to like learning more about the NFTs and started making little art pieces. And like, I'm like, really want to put like a feature on an NFT, and figured that out. And so like, I have like done that to a couple of my features, but I haven't sold them yet because I just don't even understand how to sell, like to do that, like how much to price a feature for or whatever. Because I have like, just weird ideas going forward with this movie that we're working on that we're hoping to release later this year. It's like, I kind of think like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I only released it on NFT and like maybe I only released 10 copies of the movie. And if Netflix wants it, they have to buy the NFT, like, and then they can run it and it'll all be set up for them to. So that's kind of like where I'm going with it. But it's scary, because it's like, it's all new. And it's like going and talking to like the Hollywood people about it. They just think I'm a freak for this crypto stuff. Maybe hopefully now they're like coming back around or they're starting to get it because the prices are so high. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a weird conversation when you're outside of the crypto space a little bit. So I'm like trying to navigate the waters and figure out how to move forward with like, I just want to sell everything I make on NFT from now on. I don't want to work with any other company or, well, with just friends and shit. Like I don't want to like, you know what I'm saying? You get
well, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's how it's, and I've tried to explain that to people. And when I find out, like today, I got a text message from my oh God, I feel terrible. She's like 23. My 23-year-old sister, my little sister, she texted me and she's like, Bitcoin, because I gave her some Bitcoin for her birthday last year. And it was a little more for Christmas. And I tell her, I can like, keep buying it, stack it. And then I told her about Ethereum and like set up a trust wallet for her, showed her that. And now it's to the point where she's into it on her own because she's seeing it on the news. I'm being contacted by friends and people who are making fun of me and telling me to shut up about this stuff. Now they want to know more.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's like, oh, you were telling me to shut up just until recently. And then you see it once it hit 50 grand. Now you're like, I want him. But I think just like with your movie, that is so similar to what I'm trying to do, but with a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And with my comic strip that I still want to get syndicated. But I kind of look at it like NFTs have flipped. I'm trying to word this right. If they haven't done it completely yet, it's getting to the point. And when I see art that's selling and see the people who are starting to come into the space, it's getting to the point where your agent and like if you were a film, the movie, the houses that you'd be working with, the Fox, Paramount Pictures, whatever, where the money would go to all the executives and go to their pockets for a million different things. No, that's flipped to where they're going to come to you because some guy I just read recently got into NFTs and he was a musician from some cheesy 90s band, Linkin Park, I think. I think it was the dude, one of the dudes.
Yeah. I think I talked about it on the show. Yeah.
And he said, did you read where he said he made 10 grand for like a little clip and he realized that he has never made that much money, even working with these big producers and everyone he's worked with, because they got to take out the advertising fees. They got to take out his agency fees, all this cut. And when it's time to him, he gets this chunk of it. Right. But now it's flipped on its head and the artist is getting the bigger chunk of it.
Yeah. And I've been on this journey for a long time. I wrote an article about this that I'll send to you, but like LEFThouse started as LEFThouse Recordings in 2005. And, I was working with a distribution company at the time that was taking 70% and we were getting 30. And then, go to 2 more years, 2007, and that flips. And now like the distribution companies are taking 30, we're taking 70, but now you can go off on your own and everybody's pitching, be your own boss, be your own record label. But it's all still crap because we're not here yet. We're not at the NFT place yet, which is like, to me, and I was just saying this in an interview yesterday, but it's like the top layer of the whole crypto game. It will be it's the mass adoption button. It's like, it's go time, like, and look at that with all the Elon Musks of the world getting in, like these guys aren't getting in and going to let it fall from this point. Like this is the new bottom. This is the bottom of crypto. Like it's not going to fall. That's my thought. Like these guys wouldn't get in if that was going to happen. And, like moving back towards like the whole Upland thing, like their whole goal and the whole place is it's supposed to be like the hub for buying, selling, cross chain NFTs, you know, like the coming like really soon they have like the NFT bridge coming. So like Ethereum like NFTs it will start showing up and what from all different chains or whatnot. So, you know, there's going to be
What chain
like
does it use now?
EOS. It's on the EOS.
EOS.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, like there's like businesses coming, so there's going to be like NFT galleries and shops and like different like you know different metaverses and like crypto company. Like I think Super Rare might is in talks with maybe like getting a property and setting up shop. You know, like the Blockchain Heroes have a property in there, so like different. You know, I think like all the different games and artists and stuff will start showing up and having their little spots and properties, and you can like walk into their buildings and check out their gallery. Like I can't wait till I can have a building. I just put up like a bunch of pieces of art, which would probably be like old album covers from a bunch of like old music that we made, and just like walk up and like whatever one you touch, like it plays a song. Like a whole room of like playable art would be so sick, you know.
Yeah.
And you can do it. And
Yeah.
the thing I had a question for you, is it similar? I'm, I'm drawing and I'm also clicking buttons on another computer while I'm talking to you. Is Upland similar to that? Oh God, I want to get it. Crypto voxels or Decentraland or something like that I've heard people talk about.
Yeah, like in a sense, but I believe like the properties in Decentraland are like way expensive, and I think it's more like I think it's gonna be like a mall, you know, where they'll have like the big Nike stores and they're sort of like mainstream outlets. I think that's more what they're going for, but I don't really know. I haven't like dove into that world. I was kind of looking at it like back in 2017, but they just didn't have anything there yet. And so I kind
Yeah.
of like got sick of it. And then when I came back around to it, I'm like, whoa, this is like way too expensive. But like that's sort of like a funny thing, you know, there's a lot of these like land metaverses that are showing up. And like in Upland, like there's tons of guys that are in for over $50,000, you know, like and upwards, you know, and you're like, why are these people putting so much into virtual property? You know, like there was another one that called Alien World that came out recently, and it's like they had 6 planets with land, and they all got bought up, and they got bought up by like people that you can go there and farm NFTs, you know, and like so different companies like we work with another crew called the Crypto Monkeys, and on Fridays we give away their cards, and they all their NFTs they give away for free and stuff, but then they sell like really well on like the secondary market. But like you can go to like this one planet and go to like a few different plots and like farm their NFTs, you know, or whatnot, which is kind of fun, you know, like build up your NFTs to farm other NFTs. It's like, you know, and then also too, like there's a few different like places like I don't know if you've heard of Our Planet, ourplanet.io, but like they're connected to like the like Wax, and they have like a bunch of different like collections that you can stake your NFTs there and like, you know, be making some other coin in the background. I think it's called RETH or something like that. I don't know if it's even been launched yet, but so you know, I'm like I have some random cards from these collections and I just put them in there and it's like I'm staking NFTs. I what the heck? I want to brush my teeth with an NFT. I want to do
it. And everything like and I was trying to explain when I first heard about this, I was like, whoa, everyone will have their own NFTs, whether it's your driver's license that's probably eventually going to be on an NFT, to your car insurance, your any important document you have will probably end up on an NFT. I think that people are going to end up voting using NFTs in elections. They'll be using voting, and obviously anything that you want to have as a collectible, which I was explaining to someone the other day. I said, if you have a comic book or an action figure or a baseball card or something that's collectible, what do you do with it? Most people, they have it and they have it in some kind of case where they look at it and then they take it and they trade it and they get, or they save it and collect it till it's worth a lot and then they want to sell it, but they don't open it and play with it and mess it up. They keep it in its case because they want to keep it perfect. And that's kind of when you have a digital collectible, it's in its case. It's like you can't mess with it and change it. And I had to learn kind of baptism by fire, I guess, with NFTs, how things work. Because when I first got into NFTs, I made some major mistakes. Like I minted one on blockchain art exchange, and then I think I minted the same piece on Rarible, and I was selling it, and someone messaged me and they're like, dude, no, you can't be minting your art
I
on
had that
multiple
question. I had that
Yeah.
question too. You
Well,
know,
why
like,
can't you?
Well, they explained it to me like this, and then there's two different camps that people think on this. The
Yeah.
first camp is you can only have one of one. It's got to be on one blockchain. If it's a piece of artwork, you're minting it on Rarible, you cannot mint it on any other thing, because then it's not the same artwork. It's not original. It's not rare. The scarcity is not there. And then you have people like Rob Ness who are like, scarcity, like do whatever, however you want to do it and get it out there. And so I've kind of played with that I guess, with my artwork to an extent. Like I'm not going to sell someone a piece and tell them it's a 1-1 and then mint it on something else, because then they'd be disappointed. They'd be like,
Right. Well, what if you make him aware of it though? What if you're like, I've got 3 pieces, one on this chain, one on that, you know what I mean? Like then it's legit, right?
I think that's fine. If you make them aware of it and tell them that you're doing it on different things. Like I've told people this is a 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 12, and 4 of them are going to be here, 3 of them are going to be on OpenSea, and the other ones are going to be wherever else. And that way you can have them priced in different denominations on different platforms.
Right.
Because you have some people who only want to pay in, I'm only paying in based token. Shout out to all the based guys. Those dudes are real lunatics. I don't know if you've heard of that one yet. Based.
Mm-mm.
It's like the money sign BASED. All their little memes are like based only goes up, based only, like it definitely does not, but I wish it did. And but yeah, you have different camps for different social tokens and everything else. And I guess that's what I'm learning now, because just like you with the left token, isn't that what it's called? Left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Left. I just got my own token. Did you go with Roll Social?
Yeah, with Roll, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, those guys are cool. They're
the
cool
greatest.
dudes.
Yeah, Sinkas and Bradley, they're amazing. Yeah. Super nice guys.
I was all excited because I talked to Sinkas from Greece, and I mentioned something about graffiti to him. I was like, you ever notice what's his name? Oh God, I'm trying to think of the dude's name. Oh man, I almost said Ivan on Tech. That's not a graffiti guy for sure. I said, you ever notice Boris out there? And he goes, Boris. I go, the graffiti guy. He goes, oh, from One Up Crew? And I was like, yeah. He goes, he's not from Greece. And I was like, oh, I know. He's from Bulgaria. And he's like, yeah. He started talking to me. I'm like, so you know graffiti? He's like, oh, yeah. I used to be into it for years and da. So I was like, oh, cool. That's another thing too. I feel like a lot of the people in the NFT space kind of come from this. I've ended up talking to a lot of people who've had involvements in the same subcultures that I've had interest in.
Right.
Whether it's hardcore music, skateboarding, graffiti, and
that's the same thing here. Like this fella who's in the chat room right now. I want to say hello to all the chat room fellas, but Mars Utah is a fella that I met in this whole Upland space, and we've been making some pretty crazy, weird art pieces together. And it's like, that's kind of like the really cool thing about Upland too. And everybody that's in that world will say like, it's community, and that's sort of like, I'll extend that to like the whole NFT thing. It is fun meeting all the different artists and people that are like curious and in and around the space with all the amazing ideas. It's like, it feels like art is new again in a weird way. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, and while I have you on here, thank you so much to Emmett for even buying my art and supporting my art. I get to put a face to the collector, which is cool
First
I've got a
because
NFT I
piece
ever
of.
bought.
I got one of your pieces up here from my bay. It's the DJ Osama bin Laden, and I have to. I have a song I need to send you that like is like this piece perfectly. It's hilarious. Like it is like I've made the music video for this NFT already. Crazy.
I'm gonna
I'll
try to
send.
see. I
I'll,
pulled you up on a background computer so I can see it without the volume. Oh man, I that's the funniest thing. I made this piece that you're showing
yeah.
while I was in the drive-through of a Starbucks
Oh
waiting
wow.
in line. I was waiting in line and my girlfriend's driving me to get coffee. And I made that NFT from the time we started in the drive-through and finished it by the time I finished my drink. We ended up driving off, and by the time I finished my drink, I was done with the NFT, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna mint it." But if you zoom in really, really close, I don't think you'll be able to do it
Let's see if I.
with the main picture. You'd have to have like the actual PNG to see it, but like his eyes, I spent so much little time detailing his eyes on that one.
Yeah.
And there's certain pieces that I'm I don't know if it's on there, but like I did a comic making fun of ISIS uh, a few years back when the Charlie Hebdo attacks happened. And I am very cautious about where I put my art, who I show my art to in certain aspects, just for the effect that I've noticed that like with NFTs, there's a huge audience. It's not just, you know, people who are into Bitcoin and yada yada yada. I'm sure there are a lot of seedier characters who have involvement in crypto, and I'm just cautious because like when I did that comic, for example, I don't know if you've seen it, the one I'm talking about. It's on I know it's on my Rarible.
Okay.
It used to be on my Bay, but I pulled it off. It's called Jihad Tweets, and I don't think it's listed for sale right now. But when I made that comic, I was going to do a gallery show in Orlando, and the gallery did not want to show the comic. They were like really nervous, and they ended up having the sheriff come and talk to him and be like, "Do we need to have like any kind of extra security or da 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 for the gallery opening?" And I'm like, "No, I think I think you guys are gonna be fine. It's not a big deal. It's a comic, man." Like, but I was pissed off because when it happened, the Charlie Hebdo attack, they went after cartoonists. That was like,
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with ISIS, to be honest. It was Al Qaeda inspired, but it was at the same time that ISIS was getting huge in the media. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a comic making fun of ISIS. And so I always have to kind of explain that because I've had some people try to be clever and oh, that was Al Qaeda based attack. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. But oh, the one you're showing right now, that was a true story, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm
Michael
probably beyond.
Rappaport,
Uh-huh.
Michael Rappaport like apparently saved the day on a flight one time. It was like some little Asian dude jumped up and tried to open the door to the outside of the plane like mid-flight. Rappaport tackled the guy.
And what's the
And
deal?
like
You
pulled,
work with Michael Rappaport or something like that?
I
He's
used to.
okay.
I still talk to him, but I was his official cartoonist for his podcast for years.
No way. Crazy.
Yeah, and it was hilarious how I actually got the gig. I broke my ankle getting hit by an SUV while riding my ex-wife, which is so crazy to say I've been married, holy shit. But my ex-wife was driving me to work on the back of her like Vespa type scooter, and we got hit by an SUV. And so I was out of commission for a while after I had gone through surgery, waiting for it to heal. And I discovered his podcast, the I Am Rappaport Stereo Podcast.
Uh-huh.
And I remember just laying there listening to the podcast, and I was just laughing my ass off, drawing cartoons. And one day they were giving out T-shirts. They called them soft ass T-shirts, but they were only giving them out to like the biggest of fans. So I texted them I instant messaged them, DM'd them on Instagram and was like, I'm a huge fan, yada, yada, yada. Can I get a shirt? They messaged me back almost immediately. And it's like, yo, this is Jordan Winter. I'm the producer for I Am Rapport. I'm sitting here with Mike right now, and we're laughing our ass off looking at your comics. Would you be interested in doing comics for the podcast? I'm like, yes. I didn't even have to think. I'm like, of course. And the funny thing is, I didn't even get paid. I worked with Rappaport and did not get paid, and my family was like, "You're so dumb." I'm like, "You don't understand. Artists have to do terrible, annoying shit sometimes to get where they want to be." And this is another artist whose work I like. I like Rappaport. I think he's a funny actor, and he's been in some stuff I like, True Romance and Prison Break. But so, anyways.
He's amazing in Beautiful Girls. Like he's such he's dope. He's a great actor.
Yeah, he's a dope dude. And so I ended up just working with him, and we were actually going to do an animated show. We were in talks. I told him, I was like, this was when everyone, but I feel like everyone did it, and it's the window for that. I'm sure you could still do it, but you had Bill Burr, who I actually did a comic of, and Bill Burr retweeted my stuff. I did a Rappaport. I don't know if I'll have to turn it into an NFT, but there was an episode where Bill Burr was on the podcast, and they were talking about Batman and how neither of them could ever play Batman because they're too ugly or something like that. So I made a comic of them and got retweeted by him. There was a couple like really big celebrities that retweeted my stuff just because of working with the dude. And because of him, I got followed by random people, which is really cool. You remember the movie? You're a movie guy. You remember Goodfellas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the guy that stirring the pasta in the wheelchair?
Yeah. In the prison?
No, not in prison. At the house.
Oh, at the house. Yeah. His little brother. Yeah.
His brother. I wish I could pull his name up right now.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot. He always plays like this sketchy mobster dude. He just always has the same kind of roles. He was on that 70s show as he follows me on Instagram now and likes my stuff all the time. And I've actually had conversations with him. He seems like a really down-to-earth dude too. So it's just like I feel like just working with him kind of opened me up to other people, and you just click past another one. And I think I told you, you're a movie guy. You guys are both movie guys. Have you watched Cash Only or Killer Man yet?
Only. No, I don't think I've seen either of those films.
Oh.
Yeah.
Put them on your list, dude.
Yeah.
Put Cash Only on your list for sure. Cash Only was no, I've actually heard about him before. Street Thief. He did Street Thief, Cash Only, Killer Man. And I'm talking about Malik Bader. I got to redo my stuff on Blockchain Art Exchange. I have some garbage on there right now, and he knows it. But he's redoing the site, and I helped him do a bunch of artwork for the background.
Yeah. Street Thief looks familiar. I don't think I've seen it, but like that the poster looks super familiar.
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth was in it. And I did the poster for them, but I ended up not sending it to him. I sent it to him, but I said, don't use it. I sent it to him, and I was like, it's not finished. I don't like how it's turning out. And he's like, I love it. I'm like, I don't like it. But they ended up going with just like a photo mash, like Photoshop type poster anyways, because the studio wanted to go with like a Photoshop poster, which is another whole thing. I didn't know that movies, when they put out posters, they have like there's like a science to the poster. Like posters usually use certain colors. They usually use certain like referencing, like the way they'll frame the poster. So it's just like a whole different science to that. But I ended up meeting him, Malik Bader, in New York, and he said that he'd be interested in working on a project with me in the future, which I'm super excited for because he's one of my favorite indie directors. And I'm just hoping I can meet more artists and people to possibly work with in the future, because there's so many talented people out there who are just like you and me, normal people who want to make art, and hopefully I can meet more people like that. That's why you're talking about Upland. Now, do you have to pay rent in Upland? Like, is it like a monthly rent?
No, it's like once you own a property, it's like sort of like Monopoly. Like if I send my guy to your spot, like you get paid for it, and then you get like, like the more properties you own, the more UPX is the in-game token. And so like the more you own, the more you're like earning, like it's all like, it's sort of like a mini crypto universe. There's a good article that a friend of mine named Coyer, who's up in the game too, where he was like breaking it down, like sort of like there's different structures, and like now they've added like a couple of new tokens. Like just today, they started giving out a token called Spark, and Spark is for building buildings, but you don't like spend it, you stake it to build. And then you can also like, coming soon, you're going to be able to like, like borrow from other people's Spark. And then when you're borrowing, or, if you're lending Spark, then you'll get paid in the other in-game token. And like the in-game token just buys you more NFT properties, like it's just kind of like this, you just keep accumulating. And when I first found it, I was like, wait a minute, like, because they've also, you can go to like fiat out, you can't go to crypto out yet, and hopefully they get that sorted. You can buy in with crypto, you can buy in with fiat, but like the thing that I was thinking is like if you put in enough money into it, it could sort of like, how much is it worth for you to not have to work and have like this generated like sort of like system that just like pays you?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the way I was like looking at it in the beginning. Like there's like some sort of equation there that like if I buy enough properties and run, like it should just keep buying me, and I can like sell some and buy more property, sell some out to cash or whatever, like that's what I was doing like 3 years ago when I first found like the Steemit blockchain, which has turned into Hive, and I haven't been messing with it too much, but there was all these music contests on there, so I just entered in all these contests, and then I was in and ended up being in like this thing that was like a league for a year, and I like got third place out of like 200 producers or something like that. But it like gave me a community of musicians, and like I started doing a bunch of like radio shows or blockchain radio shows and podcasts like this, just like playing music and talking about the music and stuff. And like the first time I was like selling music in years, like because of this stuff. But yeah, I don't know. So I want all of that to be integrated into Upland, and like all of that stuff is like sort of coming. I feel like all the arts that I've been doing, making music, making film, like everything is now like kind of come together and is like working together. That's why we decided to like make LEFThouse like a token, and like try to bring it into a thing. Cause like our token, we want to like try to help other artists and stuff. Like we're even like trying to create like little things that like, they maybe like every year or something, we'll give like the first 10 people that show up, like in like, if say you got hired for some job, freelance job, and you're like convinced your boss to pay us or to pay you in left token, then we would give you like 10% more token on top of what he was getting paid. Like, we're trying to create things like that. In 2 years, we want to do like a fund, like we're like, we start donating our own tokens to other people can, certain pieces we sell, like all start to go to a big pile. And then like the holders of the left token will be able to like vote on a project that was submitted, and like whoever, the project that's the best that wins the vote or whatever gets this big sack of left token, and they can go like cash it in for ETH and spend it on their art or whatever, like, and it could be like a music project, a film project, or just like some crazy collection of NFTs somebody's trying to do and they need money, they need some funds for it. Like we want to like try to help and navigate into that way. At the same time, we're trying to set up like a left only store, like curate different artists and like sell like exclusive pieces only for that art token. But like as we were talking behind the scenes, I don't know how much to price things for per art token in the beginning of this whole game. I don't know if we just lost Mr. Norman or not. We lost her.
Oh, I'm still here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sorry
Yeah, we
about
still
that.
hear. But
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I got this. I don't know what happened. Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. So like that's
Sorry
like the
about that.
big equation for us is like, you know, and these are ERC20 tokens, right? And they have like a value of like half a penny, I think, in the beginning when you get them, something like that.
That's what you were talking to me about. Yeah, behind the scenes. How do you know how to start a liquidity pool with your own token? Because that's how you get value. That's how you make your token worth real world money.
Right.
Everyone I've talked to, for example, like Blockchain Art Exchange, MyBay is going to accept Norman. They're going to use Norman as one of the currencies on Bay, and
Right.
which I think is so funny and cool.
Yeah.
Because I made it as a joke. I made it as a total joke, and even if you look at it up close, it says like, dude, this is Norman is high tech internet funny money. Get
Yeah.
with the times, old man. But I think
Awesome.
you just have to, I have to figure out, and I was wondering if you knew how to do it, is to make the liquidity pool, because that's how your token gains value.
Yeah,
It has to be tied up with ETH.
I do believe, I think they say in the Royal Handbook or something, you need like 3 to 5 ETH. And then, and then you like, and that was back when it was like $400. So I don't know if it like changes with the price, or like if it's like, do we
I
need
hope
just
it
1 ETH
does.
or 2 now? Or, like how does that, I
Yeah.
don't know if it changes or what. But, but like even like I have questions at that. I mean, I kind of know the mechanics, but I wouldn't know when, because we want to do this. And we want to like sort of put together like some exclusive pieces that we can sell as like sort of pre-sale like pieces with like backed by like a
Build
bunch
the
of
pool.
left token, like a pre-sale piece, right?
Build the pool for the house.
And then like, take all the funds from that, put it into the ETH and match it with left. But like how many left tokens do we match it with? I don't know. Like, is that up to you? Is that up to us? Like to be like, I want our token to be at $5 when it starts. Or, like, and I put in this on I just don't know the math on that.
I think it does work like that in some regards. Yeah. Because because how it seems like these things are, you look across the board at who's using them, and there is no right or wrong. It's like for you to kind of do with what you feel you want to do with it, and now you've got the backing to do it. So yeah, I mean, the liquidity pool is one thing, and then the only other thing that I talked to somebody about was giving your token utility is also what gives it value.
Yeah.
Like if you can put some cool utility behind it and make people want your token or whatever, and have it lead to other things or projects down the line if you're a holder, or get into this Discord room, or just like certain stuff like that people might want to go after and build your community as well. That's another way that I know that the token gains value.
Yeah.
And that for me, like, I never even used Discord or Telegram up until a few months ago. Even Twitter. I had Twitter for years and I never touched it. I never touched it.
Right.
And now I'm on it every day. Like
all the time.
So I'm trying, but at the same token, on the flip side of that, my Instagram I don't use as much when I used to use that every day. But I think it's all because I don't believe Cent has come up with the way to monetize Instagram yet. They're working on it. But when they made it so you could sell your tweets, I found out about that while I was on vacation, maybe like a month ago. I was in the mountains and I was in some coffee shop, some little hipster coffee shop. And I remember I'm checking out, I'm paying for it. And then all of a sudden I look down and it's like, would you accept $50 for a tweet? $50 in ETH for a tweet. I'm like, are you serious? Of course. And this was when gas was still low. So you could hit accept and it would go through. Nowadays, I don't think they even want to do it because that's the thing. The gas, I have to figure out personally what I'm going to do to make my NFT art career still work with the gas being so high, just for the fact that minting something is so expensive now. I looked on my Rarible last night and it said you have 0.02 Rory to claim. And so I clicked claim just to see how much it would be. It was like $174 to claim.
Yeah. You're going to pay him to claim. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, no thanks.
Well, you know, I mean, like, how far away are we from like these bridges and like, you know, from this question and the gas prices being like wiped? Not a conversation anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, do you know how far away we are? Either of you guys?
Close.
No.
I mean, there's things that are coming out already that are starting to attend to the gas issues or whatever. You know, well, first of all, there's other chains. You know, like EOS and Wax. There is no gas over there because it's off of ETH.
Right, and there's another Metaverse Mega Crippleopolis, which is on ETH, but they're moving to Matic. I saw, like, you know, so people are starting to move to where gas is not an issue, I guess.
And there's these gas tokens that are coming out, and so yeah, they're starting to do things about it, but how long is it going to take? And that's the question.
Like, I bought some of those Chi gas tokens, and they didn't do anything for me because you have to use them on 1 inch. You can only use them on 1 inch
right now.
And
you have to set up your MetaMask in a way so that you can use them too, which I was trying to do. And I got confused, walked away.
But I did write down a note, and I texted one of my super computer nerdy dudes that I talked to, Crypto Stacy or Crypto Saint Racy or something. He's a base guy. He's all over Twitter too, but he knows a lot of this stuff. And I asked him if he knew about it. He was like, I don't know anything about that. I'll have to look into it. There is, I think Elio Trades made a video yesterday or the other day about, I can't even think of the term. I don't want to squash it. But basically there's a way that when someone is minting on Ethereum, the miners choose obviously which
is that he's talking about?
Which
Dark
transaction
Forest?
they're going to move?
Right. Yeah.
And they can alter the price because they set the price somehow. And there's something that they do where they're jacking the price up for themselves and at the same time having to make it work for people. And so there's tokens that have to do with this. One of them's called Rook or something like that. The Rook token.
Yeah.
And I forget what the term is. I feel dumb that I'm blanking out on it, but
minor extracted value, I believe. That's it.
Boom. Minor extract. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's so they're basically front running orders is what he was saying, you know, like they're able to see the orders and how big they are and what's going on there and front, you know, like people can front run orders that way. And yeah, that was a cool episode. I like that, dude.
Yeah, I like that you watch that. We're all watching the same things too.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, I watch Chico Crypto blocked me, but I still watch that guy.
That was the first NFT I bought of yours, by the way.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you.
I wanted to send it to him so bad for Christmas, but I was like, I just don't know how it's going to get to him directly. It needs to directly go to him. Yeah. So if anybody out there knows, drop it in the comments for us. I want a direct path.
My brother's friend works with the guy, or was his cameraman. I don't know if he still is anymore. And he told me that he's a very sensitive guy. And so that the joke definitely probably wouldn't go over well.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you talk to him, let him know I'm joking around because I actually do like his stuff. Yeah, like Ivan on Tech, I watch that guy's stuff. I watch BitBoy stuff. But at the same time, as I watch Ivan and BitBoy and all these, you know, mega crypto people, Data Dash, Light Lager, I can tell. At least I think I can tell. I feel like I'm getting better at spotting when they're just either shilling something for themselves or because they're sponsored by something. A lot of them, they'll mention it, but a lot of times they'll do it so slick where they're talking about a coin. And I'm like, even though they mention that they're not sponsored by this, whatever one, or this one, God, I wish I could give you a good example right now. Regardless, I follow these dudes. I like their stuff, but I still love making fun of them because I heard from people in the back rooms, BitBoy charges a solid Bitcoin for you if you want your project reviewed and mentioned by him. It is a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, no wonder he's got so many slick polo outfits. You ever notice how every time he comes on, he has a brand new polo jacket? Like it's all everything's new.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm trying to learn this stuff because I'm new to it, and I've been wrecked so many times in crypto just since I started. It's not even funny. Like I lost my life savings when I first got into crypto 6 months ago, thanks to Jeff Kirkadelis of Trust Swap. Not really him, but someone posing as him did what they fished me on Telegram.
Yeah.
And I was stupid enough to fall for it. And I sent him all of my ETH, all of my Trust Swap, because I thought I was staking into this special high return, high APY return yielding. I was in this, I forget what he called it, but I saved the screenshot. I screenshotted it. I saved the messages just to look at because they're so depressing. And I'm gonna make art out of it someday. Just I'll make something out of it. But yeah, I lost everything. I made some of it back. And I also made the mistake. Have either of you locked yourself out of a wallet yet? See,
not
you're
so
smart
bad.
enough.
I figured it out. I did I was able to figure it out, but yeah.
I locked myself out of a 24K RSR wallet. And so I keep not 24,000 US dollars, but 24,000 RSR, which right now it's still over $1,000, I think. And I can't even look at that because I'm like, dude, that's like rent money. I could live off that for a month.
Yeah, for real.
But see, I'm watching what you're doing right now in the background. Now, if I want to get into Upland and start out, how would you recommend? Does Upland have an app? Does it have like a page like Upland.io? What's the main page to start out with Upland if you're new to it?
First of all, you should use my referral link. So you get a little bonus, I get a little bonus. And that is in the here, it's in my the description about of
this one? So let me see.
Yeah, it's in. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it's like discover.upland.me/the Upland Action News.
It is okay. I see it.
Yeah.
Boom.
So
and
yeah, sign up there. You know there are people that have like when you first get in, you can just like mess around for free, basically get in, but you'll just be a visitor. And your properties, if whatever you buy, they won't be yours until you become like an uplander. You have to spend like $10 to basically, or make $10 worth of UPX to become an uplander. Then your properties will be secure. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things you can do. Like if you look at there's like this tab at the bottom of the screen, and there's a thing called collections. And I think this is like if you look at the collections, this is like kind of like a good guide of how you should start to kind of like build your portfolio of properties or whatnot. They'll start you off probably in Fresno, is my guess. So and you'll be able to buy. What if I want to move
to San Francisco or New York?
San Francisco, well, I mean, if you wait a few days, I think they're about to open up like Brooklyn or something to the side of New York. Because New York and San Francisco are getting close to sold out, or the properties that are left are like kind of like pricey. So they're opening, like they just opened Clovis, California, which is just off to the right of Fresno, and that's like for like newer players to get in and like. You know, like there's a lot of properties down there that I can't buy, and they're like cheap. They're like a couple bucks, you know, but because I've been in the game and I've like earned too much, I can't buy those, but they're for newbies. So
What
like
if you
some of
want
those.
now? What if you want to move into the slums? What if you want to just move into the worst part of the? Do they have slums on this game?
Yeah, I mean, like those, it's like whatever neighborhoods exist, you know, in San Francisco, if there's like a slum or like if you know of
The
a slum.
Tenderloin. Yeah, you want to move into the TL.
Yeah, there you go. Like somebody might already own, probably somebody already owns that one. Like my buddy Mars, Utah, like has like all like weird prisons and weird like insane hospitals and stuff like that. You know, there's one dude that has like every half address in New York, like 33rd and a half or whatever. He's just like this half freak, you know, and collected all the halves. And he's like got some game that he's gonna make out of it, like the half marathon, where you like have to run around all his properties, and he's got like a way to time it. But like that's, you know, there's the cars and all that stuff is coming like very soon into this world. And like, you know, the cars will be NFTs as well too.
Is it only New York and California, or can you move to, let's say, Florida or Colorado?
Not yet. Like, yeah, it started in San Francisco, then they opened New York, then Fresno, then this little Clovis thing, then they're adding like, what is it, Brooklyn or whatever. And then like soon, I think the next is going to be like overseas, probably Asia or something like that, maybe Hong Kong. And then yeah, like the goal is you know, wherever there's the world is mapped, you know, if they can kind of like use that mapping infrastructure and like connect their tech to it, I guess, because that's kind of how it's working now. And like, you know, if you're like a programmer and you know like that stuff, like there are people that are like building things on top of it already and stuff, you know, like there's some interesting off like websites that like will tell you much more information and details about the properties that you're looking at, or what the cheapest property is in the neighborhood. I'll send you a bunch of links. There's a couple of like good tutorials that like could kind of like work you through. But like I'm saying, like if you work like the collections thing, because like if whenever you fill in like the collections, you'll get some like in-game tokens sent back to you and stuff, you know, and then like, you know, the payouts are higher on those, and you know, you start to figure it out slowly. And then there's like the Discord community where if any questions or now, you know, you just, if you get into it, you know, I'll be your guide. I'll help you. I'll sort you out anytime you have a
I'm
question.
definitely, I have a feeling this is going to turn into a new little side addiction of mine, because crypto became such a full-time, crypto and NFTs became a full-time thing, which I've talked to people about too. Like I started out as a joke, and when I sold my first BitBoy NFT for full price, I remember like running around the kitchen I was at my girlfriend's place, and I was running around the kitchen like, oh my God, dude, I just sold a drawing that I made in 5 minutes. I even wrote on there, 5-minute BitBoy 1.5 ETH. And I sold it for 1.5 ETH at the time, which at the time was like $875.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting like $875 for it. And I was like, yes. And that's the other thing I love about this stuff. Rob Ness commissioned a drawing from me not too long ago. And Rob Ness it's sweet. He's one of my biggest collectors. He has a lot of pieces of mine. And so just so you know, Emmett and you, God, tell me your first name. Brian and Emmett. Yeah. That's what okay. I was just with Darren the other day. So you guys will both be getting Norman coins dropped to you as soon as I can figure something out. Syncus is supposed to be getting back to me today.
Oh, cool.
I had a problem where I was trying to send it, and it only went through to one wallet, and then for some reason I keep getting an error when I try to send it. So they're taking a look at it and see what's going on. But
so your coin's just coming out. It's fresh. It's just about to come out. Then you're just in the works right now. Then that's awesome.
It's out. Okay. It's out. The only thing is I haven't advertised it like fully yet, and I haven't decided fully what the utility behind it is going to be, like, and how much I'm going to charge for a piece. I think I sent the first 10,000 Norman to my little sister, and I said, just put this in your Ethereum wallet and don't touch it. I go, this will be valuable someday. Yeah. And she's like, oh, cool. She's like, cool. but I'm going to send all of my collectors who have been putting their already money and time into my stuff. I'm going to send them probably about 10,000 to start out. And I'm thinking a piece that normally would go for like 1.5 ETH. I'm probably going to start out somewhere around 50,000 Norman. So there will be certain pieces that I am going to put a lot of time and effort into drawing. I'm going to make it like a more desirable piece that people would really want, and also a custom piece. Like I have the custom token right now where you can, which is what Rob Ness, YFI fan, a few other people have done with me, is they've got the custom one, and then I just draw them as an NFT avatar, basically, however they want. And it started out with me making a little joke on Max Osiris, and people liked it. And so I just kind of went from there. And I'm going to try to do that with my Norman coin and make it so if you want a certain desirable artwork or certain custom artwork, you can buy it, or you can get Norman coin and pay in Norman coin, and you would actually be saving money. I want to make it so people, if they invest the time and money into my coin, it will save them money in the long run and make it valuable. Hopefully it will gain some real world value and starts out as a joke, but see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I think having exclusive like art pieces that you can only access by your Norman coin is like a very strong use case for it. You know, like that's sort of like the use case that we have with our with our art as well too, is the way I'm looking at it. And yeah, same, we're trying to add and build, and like, we should think of ways that we can collaborate our tokens together, and like even make weird like riddle pathways that you might have to jump from one token to the other and like back, or some
we could pull them together like Bay and Collector did, because I know Bay Pay and Collector kind of pulled their stuff together. I don't know if they still do it, but I know they did for a while. I kind of give Collector a hard time because Collector seems like a nice guy. I don't know if you guys have talked to him yet, but he's definitely from some Eastern European country, or the way his English is broken up, I can tell, and he's somewhere in Europe. And he'd message me and be like, I love your art, but I need a true 1/1 only. And so I finally make all these 1/1s, and I priced them in Collector, and he never buys them. And so I had all these pieces just sitting in Collector that no one was buying. And I'm like, man, after a while, I think I went in. I might have a couple pieces still listed in Collector, but I think I switched them back to Bay Pay, because when I listed in Bay, like people were actually buying it. And I was selling them. Trash, I think I sold some stuff in Trash, which I was pretty excited about. And since you guys are on Wax, the one dude, the main guy on Wax that's always talking to me about coming over to Wax is Vanilla Gorilla.
Vanilla Gorilla, I haven't come across him.
You haven't heard of him?
Is that the Legends of Hip Hop, or is he tied in with them? Or Monsters of Hip Hop?
I don't know if he's tied in with him, but I know he might be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from Canada, or
I think I've seen the name on Twitter.
I think he's originally from America, but he moved to Canada. I'll tell you guys this story while I was just driving back from that road trip, and he sends me a clip on like just a little voicemail recording on Telegram, and I'm in the car with my girlfriend. We're driving back. We're somewhere in Atlanta on the major freeway at night, and the clip is like, "Fuck you, man." He's like, you hear him yelling and all this stuff, and then he's like, "Yo, I just punched a cop in a gas station, and I took off running." I'm like, "What? Like you punched a cop in a gas station? How are you not dead?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm in Canada, dude." He's like, it's like, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But basically, he's like, he seems like a wild, like a total lunatic, but he seems like a nice dude, but he's a total lunatic.
Yeah.
And he's always trying to get me to come to Wax. And the only thing, I said this on my last interview that I was talking about, that made me hesitant about Wax is when I first checked out Wax, you know how super rare artists, most of them look the same. You can go to super rare and their art, like you can tell, okay, this is super rare. Probably this one's probably
Yeah.
super rare.
Yeah, there's a vibe
Well,
to it. Yeah.
I feel like wax was the same way for a while, and the vibe that it had, it just, I didn't see anything that was really matching with my style of kind of like what I was into. And I didn't really take the time to dig into it or learn more about it. And then I think at the time when I tried to sign up for a wax wallet, it confused me too, because it was like you had to have a QR scanner for it or something. And everything I do is on an iPad. Like I'm talking to you on an iPad right now. I don't have a phone. I haven't used a cell phone in years.
Yeah.
I refuse to get a cell phone. You ever heard of the artist Dash Snow?
Yeah.
Okay. Dash Snow died from a heroin overdose in New York. He was like this real
No, it's
famous
so
graffiti writer.
It's so weird, like how I do know him too. Like it's crazy, but yeah, keep going. Yeah.
So I read an interview with Dash Snow years ago. It was in Vice back when Vice was cool. Like Vice sucks so bad nowadays, but Vice used to be cool.
Yeah.
And when Vice was cool back in the like Gavin McGinnis days, they did an article on Iraq crew in New York and Dash Snow. And he was like, they're like, Dash Snow doesn't own a cell phone. He doesn't use email. He doesn't, if you want to find him, you have to go to his apartment and yell up like a Lorax. He'll come creeping out the window or something. And when I read that, I was like, dude, that's the coolest thing I've ever read. He doesn't have an email. He doesn't have a cell phone. I mean, I can't do the no email thing. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to get work done.
Right.
But the cell phone, I've done pretty well with not having a cell phone. I use the internet phone number where you can download an app, and if you really need to make a phone call, like if it's an emergency or I got to call a doctor or something, then I'll use that. But for the most part, I don't really need a phone, man. And life without a phone is one of the greatest things ever, because I notice when I'm with people, especially in public at restaurants, or it's been a while since I've been with a group of people at restaurants, usually just my girlfriend and I, but I notice everyone's in their phone. Everyone's constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And me, I'm able to kind of live life now. Truth be told, I do have my iPad with me everywhere I go, but and I finally gave in. And got 5G, got the like LTE 5G.
Yeah.
And I was asking the lady, I go, can you give me better internet, dude? I was like, it's slow, man. She's like, you have 5G. I'm like, well, do you have 6G? And she started laughing so hard. She's like, no, 6G doesn't exist.
Amazing.
That should tell you a little bit about my computer knowledge.
Yeah, no, very good.
6G.
No, I think it's like, some of the best, some of my favorites, some of my heroes are in that way too. Like they refuse to get emails. Some of like my filmmaker, actor buddies, heroes are that way. Bill Murray's famous for that. Like he doesn't have a phone, nothing. Like you got to call his lawyer, and like good luck with that, But
through the voicemail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can leave a voicemail for him.
Yep. Yeah. So like, that's the way. I think it's awesome, like super awesome to do it in that way. I've not done that just because I've been like trying to, sell like stuff on the internet forever now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I have to have an email. I have to have all these things or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like, the art, it just needs to speak for itself, and it doesn't matter whether you have a phone or not, you know what I mean? Like the art speaks,
Your stuff speaks for itself. And I watched that video you sent me last night with that artist friend of yours, and I was laughing. I was like, I miss the smoking in my house days. But yeah, I was wondering what city that guy was in. I don't remember if you told me.
Yeah, he's an East Coast.
Oh, he was an LA guy. Okay.
Yeah, he's from the East Coast, but he lives out here, and that was an old school apartment building that he lives in that feels kind of New Yorkish. That building does. But
yeah, it looked like it, and I also noticed he had like Metro cards in his artwork. And
yeah,
So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he still
okay.
has some stuff from, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we made a couple of movies together. I'll share with you the films that we made as well too. We made one called Window Liquor, and that, or not Window Liquor, Watermelon, in that same apartment that I think that you'll really enjoy. So it's a weird one. But
I want to see it.
there was Ashley Campbell in the chat room. She was asking where she could find Norman Comics NFTs, and like, darling, they're all over the place. Rarible, OpenSea, Markers Place, MyBay, Blockchain Art Exchange, and soon the Async. And
Maker's Place is nothing. Maker's Place, I have an empty account.
Okay.
I got into Maker's Place just to be like, yeah, I could get into Maker's Place, so I haven't used it. So I was going to do a joke where I was going to say, if anyone needs a Maker's Place account, 1 ETH, I got it for you. You can switch the name, you'd be verified immediately. Maker's Place artists. But as far as Rarible, it's Rarible app.rarible / that's the one that's annoying. Someone got Norman Comics.
Yeah.
Someone got Norman Comics because I had to spell it Norman with zeros for the O's on Rarible. So it's real annoying that someone beat me to Norman Comics. And I don't know, I've never even looked at it to see who it is, but mine on Rarible is with zeros for the O's. Everything else, I think, on MyBay and Async, it's just like the actual Norman Comics with
NormanComics.com is also shared in the description of this episode below. So, and that'll get you to some of these links that we're talking about here.
Thank you. Well, but I do want to check out Wax now because everyone's talking about it, and I've had offers to do stuff on Wax. I've had offers to do stuff on Steam and Hive, and I've been so busy that I've kind of had to be selective. Recently, these dudes have approached me that are working on Tron, and they wanted me to do some NFT stuff for Tron. And I really liked the guys who approached me. Like they were collectors of my work. So I said, I'll take a look at it and see what I can come up with. But I'm basically I'm just trying to draw. And if people like my stuff and want to add it to their collections, awesome, because it helps me, live.
Survive day to day. Well, I definitely think you should check out Wax, and I think the art is changed a lot. It's evolved a lot. It's definitely like more of a gamer's place, so you'll come across a lot of game pieces and stuff. But I definitely am, like, more recently I'm starting to see some like more straight like art pieces, and I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. That's cool. I'm starting to find more and more of that, and I think like their tech and the way that those guys operate, they're pretty awesome dudes. And and the gas, and I mean, like, even recently, like, I've had like, because a lot of like the Upland community, they're like in the Wax world, and I've been putting up things on OpenSea and through ETH and stuff like that, because our token is on Ethereum. So I feel like we need to like dance in that realm a little bit more. But it's funny, like, I'm putting up pieces there, and then like people from the Wax community are like, some of the buyers that I have, they're like, man, I want it, but I can't do it, the gas prices and stuff. So like I've done like one-off deals, like an exclusive of that piece to that person because they were like a loyal customer, somebody that I'm a fan of, like, we're, or whatever. So I've made some deals like that because like it's there and the Wax is cheap, and it's all, I'm not like hiding it or pretending like, oh, this one's not being made. Like, I'm saying it live right now. You know what I mean? Like, these pieces are not hidden, like, are not meant to be hidden. But
that's cool.
But we'll crap a ton. We've talked a crap a ton today, and we've been on for 74 minutes now. This has been amazing. I think we could do another 74, but we should probably get into
whenever you want.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, we'll definitely do it again. And if you have any questions about Upland, please don't hesitate to hit me up. And but
I'll be messaging you. I just signed up while we were doing this.
Wicked, awesome.
And I used your code, so I just got to check my verification email and do that. But I signed up for it.
Awesome. You hear that, bosses? You hear that, big bosses? I mean, it's
I'm
working.
in.
It's working. Yeah.
You
awesome.
got me.
Let's get you on wax too, and we'll send you over our first left NFT, Lefty in space.
Yeah,
All
rabbit
right, we'll
holes are
do this too,
collection.
man.
Yeah.
You know what? I like you guys, so I'm gonna go for the wax thing and do it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Sounds like a good plan. All right, boys, let's get out of here. It's been a lovely episode of action. I'm going to say good morning, good noon, and good night and run this little piece and get out of here.
Yes, I'll see you guys soon. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Norman.
Yeah, thanks, Norman.
Hey, have a good one, guys.
All right.
See you, dude.